Okay, if you're on live right now, give me a couple of minutes. We're about 8 minutes before time to start. I'm going to work on getting the live chat so I can see that, and we'll be proceeding at 11, straight up at 11 o'clock as promised. Thank you. Okay, give me just a minute or so here, and I will talk to you briefly. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me okay? I'm looking to see what appears in the chat as I do this, because we're working on We're working on a different webinar platform, and since the time I started this process 3 days ago, Google Hangouts has changed drastically. So please let me know if you can hear me okay, and I will see if I can figure out where I can answer that question at, because okay, I'm waiting to see if somebody responds here. Looking to see where you might be. Okay, I'm getting here. Ray says you can hear. John Hackett says you can hear. King of the Hill says you can hear. Okay, good. It looks like you all are hearing me. We've had some changes that take place. Let me see. One more thing I want to test before we start live, and then I will just have to do my best to answer your questions as we go. Let's see. I just placed a message in the broadcast message to see if you can hear that, or see if you can see that. Can you see that? Because I'm not seeing the, I'm seeing your comments, but I'm not seeing how to respond back to your comments. Okay. All right. Doesn't look like you are getting my responses back. So give me just a second and I will do something here that might help. The slight change in Google Hangouts has created a bit of an issue here. So let me see. We'll figure this out. You guys get to be my first group doing this with this new change. Webinar Jam's done an amazing job of updating, but not everybody's caught up with that yet. And I use a slightly different platform. All right, that doesn't work. Okay. Okay. All right. Enough of that. We're just going to move on. Okay, let's get started. I want to get started this morning. I will be able to see your questions, but I'm going to have to see them in a different place than I had anticipated. So, but that's okay. That's good. Apparently, you're not seeing my types in the chat box. So we have a good crowd on. I want to make this a good experience for everybody who's here, and I want to be able to deliver as promised. So give me a chance, put a couple of things here so it's easier for me to find. All right. Okay, looks like we have a good crowd on, and we have a good number of people who are making comments in the chat section, and I don't have any way to respond back to you with the change that has just taken place. So let's get started here. We have, just go ahead and say hello and where you're from, and then that way I can get a rhythm going here. So tell me tell me hello and where you're from in the chat box very quickly, and I will find a way that I can respond back to you, okay? All right. See if that's, yeah, there we go. I think we're going to be able to figure this out as we go. Okay. All right. Jennifer from California. I see Cynthia is on. Yes, I can respond with words. That's true. Sometimes I need to drop something in there. Hello, Michael. Sometimes I need to drop something in so y'all can see that. Can y'all see each other's chat messages? I want to make sure I'm trying to create a community here. I want to make sure that you're all able to do that. So I will end the group chat, which apparently doesn't work, and we'll move on. Google Hangouts has made a drastic change since yesterday, which doesn't surprise me in the least. That's kind of what happens. And so we're using a platform on top of somebody else's platform, and we'll make it work. All right, enough of that stuff. Let's get started into what we have today. This Sales Superstars webinar focuses on, what we're going to focus on today is a couple of tiny tweaks that you can make by focusing on 4 questions. Not that you ask your client, but 4 questions that you need to be asking yourself. And these 4, the answer to those 4 questions, which is constantly evolving, but the answer to those 4 questions is going to help you to have a drastic increase in the number of sales that you have. So I'm watching carefully to see what your questions and comments are, and I'm going to present that to you. Let me give you a little background about me. I am, let's see here. I've lost my ability to move forward. So hang on a second. We'll get everything so it works here. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I have spent 35 years as a trainer. 35 years as a trainer. Somebody asked me the other day, when was the first time you ever spoke publicly? I was 21 years old. I spoke to the Kansas Senate, and I've been doing that ever since. And I had something to teach them that day, and I've been teaching people ever since. So that was a long time ago. And I've spent 25 years in sales and marketing. I have been focused on sales and marketing for 25 years. I've been involved in 2 different major industries across the country as a national sales and marketing trainer. I've had 3 national product launches that have exceeded $10 million, and they are not an internet marketing kind of launch. Instead, these were just actual product launches that you had to go sell. And in each of those cases, the maximum, this is interesting, okay? In each of those cases, the maximum price of the product. It's easy to have a $10 million product when you have a $5,000 easy to have a $10 million launch when you have a $5,000 product. Those 3 products launches that exceeded $10 million in the first year, actually they were in the first 3 months. But those 3 product launches, the price on the product ranged from $35 to $95. And in that product range, we were able to exceed $10 million in sales. So I consider that to be a successful product launch. And I think that we were able to do some pretty amazing things in those 3 national product launches exceeding $10 million. I have been known for one thing throughout my entire career, and that is the simplicity of execution. Don't ever make things complicated. My goal has always been to make things as simple as possible, and so I have stuck with that. Hans is telling me that the slides are blurry. Let's see. I am not seeing what you all are seeing, so let's see. How do we make that better? What you might want to do, let me check here. What you might want to do, I'm looking at the slides on YouTube. I'm trying to look at this on YouTube to see how they look on YouTube. They look pretty good on YouTube. I don't know how bad that they are there. Cynthia says that the slides are clear to her. Rob says they're okay. Jennifer says they're okay. Okay, we're going to proceed forward then. All right, work on this. Known for simplicity. That's always been my goal. Let's make things as simple as possible. Let's don't make them simpler, but let's make them as simple as we possibly can, because simple makes awesome easy. That's always been my motto. And so that's what we focus on. And that's what this sales training program and platform I'm talking about is going to focus on. How do we make things as simple as possible? So I'm going to talk to you about the 3 things that are focused. First of all, the 3 things that are focused inside of the sales training platform. And then I'm going to take you to a couple of things that I think you're going to find really interesting. And then I'm going to give you those 4 questions. So stick with me as we go. go. In order to be a sales superstar, you have to have a great mindset. And I've been talking about mindset a little bit this week as I've launched off the private Facebook group called Sales Superstars. And the first one is the mindset. You have to have a great mindset. And I'm not talking about a positive mindset. I'm talking about some other things. I'm going to show you what those are in just a minute, okay? And then you also have to have a skill set. There's a certain set of skills that are required in order for you to be a great sales trainer. And so you want to make sure that you have that skill set. That's different than your mindset, but the mindset helps you to have the right attitude as you develop the proper skill set. And then you need to have a product-specific toolkit. And that product-specific toolkit helps you. That product-specific toolkit will help you to sell product-specific kinds of things. Most people try to jump over 1 and 2 to get specifically to the toolkit. Well, if I just knew how this worked better, then I'd be able to make better sales. The problem is I wasn't trained properly on the product. And if you skip mindset and skill set, you are not. I don't care what we put in your toolkit. You're not going to be effective in sales, okay? So that's where we're going to start out at. I'm watching to see if there are any questions so far. Do we have any questions? Do you all understand what I'm talking about here? Mindset, skill set, and toolkit. I'm going to give you a little bit of a peek inside of what each of those looks like as we go. Now, I ask a question. I ask a question inside of the with the registration for this webinar, and I ask you to tell me what your biggest sales challenge was. And I got some really interesting, answers. One of them was, and they fall kind of into these categories, and I'm going to show you what they are. One of them was narrowing down the niche and then connecting with the right people. And so let me ask you this question: do you think that that's a mindset, skill set, or a toolkit issue? Do you think that's a mindset, skill set, or a toolkit issue? And I will try to find your questions in the comments here. Okay. What do you think? Do you think that that's a mindset, skill set, or a toolkit issue? Went very, very quiet all of a sudden. Are you still with me? Are you still on board? Several people are saying that that's a skill set. A skill set. Michael says it's a mindset. Narrowing down the niche and then collecting. What you're focusing on here is finding this is focusing on finding the right spot to connect with the right people so that I can sell them something. And that is, you're correct. It is a skill set. That's a skill set, but it doesn't focus on the questions that are important. So let's take a look at the next one. Getting a plan written down and following that plan. And several people said something about their plan. Getting a plan written down and following that plan. Is that a skill set, a mindset, or a toolkit? Skill set, mindset, or toolkit? Tell me what you think. Is it a mindset thing or is it a skill set? Most of you are saying skill set, and I think you're right. It's a skill set. I've got to have a plan. I got to execute that plan. I got to follow that plan. I got to progress through the plan. That's a skill. That's a skill, being able to develop my day, being able to know who I'm going to call on, to have a pattern for how frequently am I going to call on that person. And as I call on them, what am I going to say, and how's that going to go? And so that's a skill set. And then somebody said, and more than one person said, I need social media help. And so those are the challenges that people presented. Now, the problem with focusing on the challenges is that we're saying that if I overcome this thing, then I'm going to be able to make more sales. And that's probably true. That's probably true. But it fails to address the 4 questions that I believe are the greatest sales solutions that there is. So let's talk about those really quickly here. The first one is, what product problem does my prospect have? What problem does my prospect have? If I understand what problem my prospect has, if I know what that problem is, then I'm better equipped and better prepared to address the prospect. But I have to, first of all, know what problem that prospect has. Okay, so let me give you an example. I want to illustrate this for you, so stick with me as I tell this story here, okay? What problem does my prospect have? Now, does that fall into a skill set, mindset, or toolkit? Well, really, it's kind of all three, and I'm going to show you how. Let me talk about a simple problem that a prospect had that nobody was able to identify. I'm going to tell you two stories. First one is I walked into a tool store one day. And I had a little bit of a relationship with that tool store, but I did not work there. And so I walked into the tool store and a guy came in. This is about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. A guy comes in. He is dressed in a suit with his tie is a little crooked. And he comes in. He's obviously worked all day. He's obviously a professional. He's obviously an executive level professional, walks into this tool store, and he said, my friend said, I need a biscuit joiner. And the guy waiting on him said, so how often do you plan to use this biscuit joiner? And he said, don't know yet. I don't have one, so I don't know. Now, so far, it sounds to me like this kid's trying to solve his problem. He asked him a question. How often do you plan to use this? Now, the problem with that question is it focuses on the product. Is that correct? The problem with the question that he asked is he is focused on the product. How often do you plan to use it? He's not really addressing the client's problem. Now, I look at him. He's in there at 6 o'clock in the evening. He's wearing a suit and a tie. Obviously, the kid waiting on him doesn't understand what his real problem is. He thinks he needs a biscuit joiner. So I walk over and I say, excuse me, I have a question for you. You're asking for a biscuit joiner. And he says, how often do you plan to use it? I got a bigger question than that. If you buy a biscuit joiner, are you planning on using it at the end of the day when you get finished working all day? He said, well, yes. I don't even know how often I'm going to use it, but it would be nice to have one because my friend says I need one. Okay, cool. So let's take that I'm going to work with this. So y'all stick with me here. All right. So I've just reframed the question. Are you going to use it at the end of the day after you've done other things? And I said, you have two. And the kid had laid out one that sold for $85, and the other one that was sitting on the shelf sold for $162. So we have a $85 biscuit joiner. We have one that sells for $162. Now, I don't have any relationship with the store whatsoever. And the kid thought because he's going to be an occasional user that he should buy one that didn't cost as much as one that somebody would buy if they used every day. So are y'all with me? Tell me that you're following along with the story here. Tell me in the chat box there that you understand where I'm going with this, because this is understanding the customer's problem. You got to know what the customer's problem is in order for you to be able to provide a solution. Okay, so I have just asked him, when does he plan to use it? He said, I plan to use it at the end of the day when I get home. I said, so now I'm going to tell him a story. Okay, so you come home at the end of the day, you've got a project that you're trying to get done for your granddaughter, and your granddaughter, you know, she's got a birthday coming up, and so you've got the evenings to do this in. Yeah, that's what I do. Okay, cool. So you've got a project that's staring you in the face. Do you want to spend time adjusting your biscuit joiner, making sure that it works? Or do you want to just simply pick it up, cut a biscuit joint, slap a biscuit in there, put some glue on it, and call it good. And he said, that's what I want to do. And I said, then you want this machine over here sells for, I didn't say it sells for, but you want this machine over here that was the $162 machine, because you'll never have to worry about adjusting it. His problem was he had a limited amount of time to get the project done. Had nothing to do with price. It had nothing to do with how frequently he was going to use it. It had everything to do with his goal. He wasn't buying a biscuit joiner. He was buying a project for his granddaughter. I have to understand what the prospects, what my potential buyer, I have to understand what his problem is. So I'll tell you one more story. Okay, this clearly illustrates understanding the problem that the customer has. And here it is. I'm at a woodworking show. I used to work in the woodworking industry, so I'll tell a couple of woodworking stories. Okay, I'm at a woodworking event, and a guy walks up, and the guy who I'm doing the event for had hired me to increase his sales. I said, what were your sales last year? He said, my sales last year were $53,000. He said that barely covered the cost of our booth and our event, and our time and our help and the people that we had to hire and come over here. And he said, so I need you to fix this problem. Okay, no problem. So I walk in. I said, I'm looking at your stuff. What is it that you can't sell? He said, I've never been able to sell that mortising machine right there. I said, well, set it up here where it's really, really obvious. It's easy for people to see. Put it in the most prominent place, and I'll sell. I said, how many of them do you have? He said, I have 8. I said, I'll sell all of them before noon. He said, we've never sold the one. How are you going to sell all of them before noon? I said, just hide and watch. That's what I used to tell my kids all the time. So let's just hide and watch, and I'll tell you how I'm going to do this. Okay. Now, do I need to know anything at all about a biscuit, about a mortising machine at this point in time? Or do I need to know about the person who's going to buy one? So the first guy that walks over and he takes a look at that, and he messes with the handle on it, which you're only going to look at a mortising machine if you're in the market for a mortising machine. So he's diddling with the handle there, and he's got his girlfriend or his wife on his arm. I don't know which it is, but she's got this completely annoyed look on her face. And I said, I asked the stupidest question I could possibly ask, because I just wanted to look like I was as goofy as everybody else at that event. I said, so are you interested in cutting square holes? And he said, yes, sir, I am. Are y'all with me? You follow my story here, and want to make sure that you all are on board with me here. He said, yes, sir, I am. I've got a project. I want to be able to cut mortising joints in. Okay, cool. I said, they're selling another one right down in the other booth down there for $50 less. I want you to go down and take a look at it, but I don't want you to buy it. I mean, you're here to take a look at everything, so I'm going to tell you where you can find another mortising machine in the building. It's right down there, and it's for $50 less. And I said, but before you take out your credit card and you buy that machine down there, I want you to take a look at it, and then I want you to come back. And when you come back, I'm going to tell you how you can improve your love life by buying this mortising machine. Now, why did I say that? Can anybody tell me in the chat box why I said I want you to go do that, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you how to improve your love life? Somebody tell me why you think I said that. Out of all the things I possibly could have said, why did I say that? Don't laugh. Tell me why I said it, Beth. Why would I say that? So I said, go look at that machine down there. They sell it for $50 less. Before you take out your credit card to buy it, I want you to come back here, and I will tell you how. I will tell you how you can buy this mortising machine and improve your love life. Well, I wanted the girl that he's with, who looks a little annoyed, I wanted her to be intrigued. Because the reason why a guy brings a girl to a woodworking show is because he doesn't want to have to sneak the tool into the house when he gets home. He doesn't want to sneak the tool in. So he brings the girl with him so he doesn't have to sneak the tool in. And so they go off. She grabs him by the arm. Off they go. They go down and look at the other guy's machine. And pretty soon they come back and they're laughing and they're having a good, now they're laughing and having a good time. But see, I understood what the problem was. The problem was he doesn't want to buy something. He's got to sneak in the house, so he brings his wife with him. And I have a problem. My problem is that the guy down there is selling the same machine for $50 less, almost identically the same machine. They all cut square holes, right? I got to know something about this guy's problem. I got to understand what problem the prospect has. And the problem is he needs a square hole, and he's got to get his wife's approval to buy the machine that's going to cut the square hole. So I said to him, all right, what did you notice different between that machine down there and this one right here? He said, well, that one down there has a tool rest on the top of it, you know, and you got to have a place to put the tool that adjusts the machine. I said, you're exactly right. Do you know what tool goes inside of that? He said, yes, a 3/16" Allen wrench. So let's cut a square hole. You got that little 3/16" Allen wrench and your machine is running. You got the dust collector going because that thing makes a horrible amount of dust. You got the dust collector going. You got the little machine running, and you got a 3/16" Allen wrench that you got to put in a tiny hole in the top of that tool rest. He said, yeah, and theirs has got a tool rest. You don't have a tool rest. And I took the hold down clamp and I held it up and I said, ours doesn't require a tool. I said, because if you're trying to put that tool back in that tool that tool rack at the top, your machine is running, the tool is vibrating, the dust collector is going, you drop the wrench, it falls into the dust collector, gets sucked up in the dust collector, you get mad, you cuss your wife, you kick your dog, and you sleep on the couch. And his wife grabs him by the arm, looks him in the face like, was he at our house this weekend? Are y'all relating to the story? I figured out what his problem was. I knew what his problem was. And I held up I said, ours does not require a tool. Now, the next thing they buy it. The next thing I know, I got a line of people halfway across that building because they want to hear how buying that mortise machine is going to improve their love life. I took him from being a curious looker to a raving fan who was telling everybody, you got to go talk to that guy, man. He's going to tell you how to buy a mortising machine, improve your love life. I understood the customer's problem. You've got to understand the problem that the prospect has, and you've got to address it in that way. Number two, the second question is, where are they right now? Where are they right now? See, I identify with where that guy was at right now. Right now, he didn't know exactly what he needed. He just knew that he wanted to make it easy. The guy inside of the store that day trying to buy a tool didn't know what he just wanted to make it. Where he was at right now was he was up against a challenge and he needed to find an answer. Where's your prospect right now? So when you ask the question like, I need help with social media, do you really? Is that where your prospect is at? You got to figure out where your prospect's at right now. If I understand where my prospect's at right now, the problem that he has, that's put him where he's at right now. If I understand where they're at right now, then my solution becomes easier. I got to know what the problem is that they have. I've got to know where they're at right now. That's number two. So you've got to be asking yourself this question all the time. Where is my prospect right now? I got the first two questions. What problem does my prospect have, and where are they at right now? I want to know where they're at physically. I want to know where they're at when they're searching. I want to know where they're at with the solution that they're looking for. Where are they right now? Because if I understand where they are right now, then I can help get them to my solution. And that will make a difference in my sales results. If I know what the problem is that they have, and I know where they're at right now, then I'm in a better position to be able to deal with them. So question number 3, that's question number 1. Question number 2, question number 3 is, how will my product solve their immediate problem? How's my product going to solve their immediate problem? You know, the fact that my tool did not need a wrench to adjust it made the difference between that guy buying a tool for this price or the guy buying a tool, my tool, for $50 more. Exactly the same tool, exactly the same result. Now, let me let you in on a little secret. If I was selling the other guy's tool for $50 less, I wouldn't have went and spent $1.85 and bought a whole bunch of toggle bolts that would have done exactly the same thing that the one that I was selling did, that I sold for $50 more. But I didn't get contracted to sell that machine. I got contracted to sell the one that I was in the booth at. So how does my product solve their problem? And I need to know, how does my product solve their problem? Because if I can figure out how my product solves their problem, it doesn't make any difference what the product is. If I become great at solving other people's problems, it doesn't make any difference what product that I'm selling. It doesn't make any difference what niche that's in, because that's where I find where my prospect's at. But if I become great at solving their problem, and see, I'm not going to be able to solve their problem until I figure out what the problem is and I figure out where they're at. My dad used to say, if a man has a great business and he shouts down a well, his business will go to, you can rhyme that out all you want to. Okay. So number 4, what problem does my prospect have? Where's that prospect right now? And how will my product solve their problem? And then number 4 is, how am I going to deliver that solution to them? How am I going to deliver it to them? Okay. Before you take out your credit card and you buy that guy's machine down there, I want you to come back here and I'm going to show you how. I delivered the solution in a term that they had just never thought possible. Okay, so how am I going to deliver that solution? Those 4 questions I've got to ask all the time. What problem does my prospect have? Where is that prospect right now? How will my product solve their problem? And how will I deliver that product as a solution? Okay, so tell me, how many of you are constantly asking yourself those 4 questions right now? And how many of you plan to do that from this point forward? Okay, let me know. Has that been helpful to you? Is this something that you can use? Are you going to ask yourself those 4 questions from now on? I need to know. All right, tell me, how am I going to know if, is that going to be helpful to you? This is the way you increase your sales results immediately. You take those 4 questions and every single moment that you've got a free brain space, you use it. You ask yourself those 4 questions. So what problem does my prospect have? I can buy a cup of coffee at the Starbucks at the Target store, and I can sit down and I can watch people walk through the door. So what's their problem? What are they dealing with? What are they up against? I can take a look at the sales clerk, what's she dealing with? I can take a look at the mom across the room, what's she dealing with? I can start asking myself, when I'm having a cup of coffee doing nothing else, I can begin to ask myself that question, what's their problem? What are they doing to solve that problem? What are they up against? I drive down the road. I can take a look. I see a business that's got a help wanted sign in the window. I can ask myself, well, wonder why they're needing help. Is it because their business is growing too fast? Because if it is, they ought to have a line of people at the door wanting to do. My wife works at a place that does such a great job with their employees that they can have a part-time job open up and they'll have 500 people that will apply for it in the same day. They're doing something right. I want to know what it is that they're doing right and how are they doing it. I talked to a friend the other day who said that he went to Disneyland and Universal Studios. He said the difference between those two businesses and how they treat customers is as different as day and night. One of them I want to mimic, the other one I want to avoid. And so you're constantly doing research. You're constantly taking a look at that. You're not standing in line complaining. Instead, you're doing research, man. You're learning something. You got 4 questions that you're going to answer all the time. Those 4 questions are really simple. What problem does my prospect have? Where's that prospect right now? How's my product going to solve their problem? And how will I deliver their solution? Not my product, their solution. How am I going to deliver their solution? Obviously, it's going to include my product, right? So I told you I'd keep this to 40 minutes, so we've got to hurry. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? I need to know, do you have any questions? Because if you have a question, I'm more than willing to answer that. If not, we're going to move on. I promised I would hold this to 40 minutes. Okay? So the 3 things, how does that affect sales superstars? What are we going to do? I've given you 4 questions. These four things will change your life. I promise you. They will add an immediate 30% increase in the things that you're selling. I promise you that. But let's move here. We've had mindset, skill set, toolkit. Those 4 questions are a key component in all 3 of them. They're a key component. Let me talk real quickly about what you get in the training platform that I'm gonna make you an offer to in just a minute. Okay, I've already given you something that can change your business forever. But let me tell you how these 3 things work. Okay, so the mindset. This is so much different. This is so different. I mean, so different than just simply talking about having a positive mental attitude or having the law of attraction. Those things are important. Don't misunderstand me. But look at these 3 things right here. Readiness. Readiness. When I talk about mindset, there's 4 basic foundations of a great mindset. Number 1's readiness. The spirit of being alert, ready to grasp the significance of everything that gets said. I went to a meeting the other night. My friend Tom was there, and Tom was going to talk about sales and how you make sales. And he went back into a room and he picked up a glass jar, and he walked back and he said to somebody randomly, somebody in the crowd, sell me this glass jar. So they start talking about about the quality of the jar. They start talking about all the great stuff that this jar could hold. And they go through all of, it's a great jar. You could use it for a paperweight. You could set it on your desk, blah, blah, blah. And he said, and then he points to me and he says, Eric, sell me this jar. I said, Tom, when you were walking in, I thought I heard you say something to, no, Pop can't buy that for you. Were you talking to your granddaughter on the phone? He said, yes, I was. See, I was ready. I grasped the significance of a conversation. I didn't know he was going to ask me to do that, but I grasped the significance of a conversation I heard him say as he was walking through the door that night as he was talking on the phone. See, readiness, a mindset that's ready, grasps, they're alert, paying attention. So I see a couple walk into a woodworking show. I'm thinking about the look on her face. How am I going to change that? You're ready to grasp the significance of the moment. All right. I didn't go in there with the intention of telling a story about how to improve your love life, but pretty soon that turned into the biggest thing in the show. You're ready to grasp the significance of the moment, and you take advantage of the things that are there. We're going to help you have a great, ready mindset. Number 2, it's accurate. That's the foundation of accurate thinking involves accuracy. You're always looking at accuracy. And you're seeking to have accuracy. We teach you how to do that. Number 3, utility, creating the greatest good for the benefit of others. And that goes back to what's the problem that my client has or my potential customer has. And that creates the greatest good for the benefit of others. I have a mindset that is utilitarian in its approach. Number 4 is comprehensive. Sees the relatedness of all of the things, it sees the relatedness of all things, and it chooses those things that are significant, shows how to put those pieces together. If you become good at that, if you have that kind of mindset, people will line up to buy from you. Okay? They'll line up to buy from you. That's what I'm talking. When I talk about mindset, these are 4 things are what I'm talking about. And we teach you how to do that in the Sales Superstar program. Readiness, accuracy, utility, comprehensiveness. Those things are a part of the training. That's just a small part. There's a whole bunch of other things that are involved in that, but I wanted to give you a taste of what you can look forward to in the mindset. The next one is a skill set. And I'm just going to go through these real quickly. What do I do when? See, what do I do when I show up late? What do I do when the person isn't there that I had an appointment with? What do I do when? What do I do when? What do I do when I get the client on the phone? What do I do when somebody says, "Hey, I know somebody might be able." What do I do when? And we teach you what to do. What do you do when? How do I build multiple relationships? See, everybody thinks that I know somebody in this business. I guess what? They may not be there next week. So how do I build multiple relationships? How do I treat everybody so that they have great value and great meaning to the company? How do I build the kind of relationships that's going to move my business forward, because it's in the process of moving their business forward? I had a client one time that said, every time you walk on the grounds, everybody does better because they love you. Multiple relationships. How do I build those multiple relationships? That's the skill, and you need to know how to do it. Number three, how do I make networking meaningful? How do I take a networking event turned into a great opportunity for me? How do I develop incredible power listening skills? How do I become a great storyteller? Man, I can teach you how to become a storyteller. I can teach you how to become a storytelling rock star, but it takes work. Let me tell you, I've spent my entire life learning how to become a great storyteller. I think one of these days I'm going to get good at it. The art of asking, and then knowing how to ask for the business. Those things are part of that skill set. That's just a small sampling of what's inside of that skill set training that you'll get in the platform that we're going to give you access to. And then a toolkit. And these are product specific things. And remember, I've been in multiple industries. I've taught people how to train. I've taught people how to sell in multiple industries. My experience as a trainer has taken me in lots of places. And so I have lots of interesting ways in order to sell product specific kind of stuff. How about scratch and sniff? That's how do I demonstrate a product. What about selling insurance? That's an interesting concept. How do I go through the concept selling of selling insurance? How do I sell events? How do I sell real estate? How do I sell pleasure? Those are all included in the toolkit of product specific kind of training that you'll get access to. Who's excited about this? Let me know. Are you? Does this help you? Who's excited about this? Let me know. Tell me in the chat box if you're excited about those three things, and just a taste of what I've given to you right here, because you got an awful quiet. So I need to hear from you. All right. Otherwise, it looks like I'm just talking to myself in the middle of the room here. These are the kind of things that are life-changing, folks. This is what makes a big difference in how well you connect to other people. And then let's take a look at the offer that I'm making to you. Okay. Here's the offer. 4 things. Number 1, you get access to a private Facebook group that has a daily live feed in that private Facebook group. All right. That's a private Facebook group. You all have access to a daily live feed that happens at 7:30 every single morning inside of that Facebook group. And I've let some people kind of listen in on this first week, but from this point on, it becomes a private Facebook. It's just for those members who are sales superstars. Number 2, you get access to a training portal where we'll be putting weekly content in that training portal, because I want you to have some time to digest the stuff that's there. It takes a while to develop the skills that are there. And then you're going to get access, and that toolkit has those 3 things. It has the mindset skill. There's 10 training modules under that mindset. Then it has the skill set. You're going to get access to the skill set tools, and there's 10 modules there. And then you're going to get access to the toolkit as well, where you will pick which one of those modules you need to focus your attention on. If you're selling pleasure, if you're selling real estate, or if you're selling insurance, give you access to the toolkit. So you've got 10 mindset modules, you've got 10 skill set modules, and you've got 9 toolkit modules of specific product, specific kinds of things that you'll need to know. Okay. So that's what's in that training portal. And then you'll have all kinds of downloadable material. I've written a little book called 10 Unbreakable Laws of Business Success, and you'll have access to that. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Networkers, people who go out and go to networking events or do meetups and those kinds of things. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Networkers. I've developed a problem-solving skill set called power thinking, and I will give you access to my power thinking ebook that you'll have, so you can download that. And then you'll get access to future trainings at a deep discount. What that discount is dependent upon the training that's there. But that's the materials that we're going to make available to you today because you were here. But there's another thing that I didn't tell about because I don't want this to be in the slides, so you're going to have to listen to me carefully. I'm also, if you're going to be there, I'm also going to give you, if you sign up today, I'm also going to give you access to 2 30-minute coaching sessions. The first one, I'm going to listen to what it is that you're doing. I'm going to ask you some specific questions about what you're doing now, what you're currently doing, and we're going to tweak that in that 30-minute session. And then 2 weeks later, I'm going to listen to you again, and we get to follow up on that. You've had time to test it. And then, so you have to schedule that second appointment, but you get 2 30-minute appointments. And all of that, I'm going to make available to you. All of that you're going to get for $50 a month. $50 a month. Okay? So tell me, who's excited about that? All right? Who thinks this is going to be a great offer and wants to get in on this? Can you tell me? Who thinks this is going to be a great offer and you can't wait to get to be a part of that? Are you there? There's a link. There is a link that is available. There's a shared URL link that you should have access to. Can you see? Tell me if you can see the shared URL that all attendees have, and it's called salessuperstars.members. Do you see that? Do you see that offer that I've given to you there? Hopefully you can see. Linda, I'm sorry you have a bad connection. I wish you could hear all of that too. There will be a replay that's available, okay? You see it under the slides. Do you see that under the slides right there? It should be available right under the slides. Let me look, make sure that you all are seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. But it should be available right underneath the slides, and that is your access to this program. If you do not purchase today, you will not get the 2 30-minute sessions. Okay? That's the deal. If you see but this is your opportunity today. Take advantage of this, because I'm not going to offer this after this. This is the most incredible offer that I have ever made, ever. And so I want to make sure that you get a chance to take advantage of that. It's the shared URL. The shared URL should begin with a salessuperstars.member. So you should have that. Don't tell me I should have made it a bit.ly link. Let me tell you when this got done while we've been on this webinar, okay? Don't be hateful, Cynthia. Don't be hateful. You should be able to just click on it and go there. Should just be able to go there, but it is a recurring charge, $50. You can pay for that with PayPal, and it's available for you today. But if you don't take advantage of it today, the price is going to go up. All right. We have gone 5 minutes past my promise of 40 minutes. I try to keep my webinars very brief so that you get what you need and you get it quickly, and we don't waste your time, because I'm not a fan of wasting time. I want you all to have an opportunity to get the tools that we make available to you. And I am dead serious about making sure that this is available to everyone. Just so that you won't miss that, I'm going to make that answer publicly. The link is in the public area there, because I'm not going to make this available forever. This is a very quick hit here, and I want you all to be able to take advantage of that. Okay? With that, I'm going to wrap up, because I have exceeded my time limit of 40 minutes. And even though that the webinar was scheduled for an hour. If there are no other questions, I am going to wrap up today's webinar. Okay?